Hello and welcome to another episode of Babes in Charge. My name is Whitney Barkley and I'm the Chief Connector of the Barter Babes, a platform that allows female entrepreneurs to exchange services to get rid of their startup costs. Tonight we have Linda Pringle-Evans. Linda is a brand extraordinaire and speaking expert who's going to talk to us about how we can leverage speaking to boost our personal brands. So first and foremost, I want to say thank you for everyone who came on time. We definitely had a little bit of technical difficulty. Linda is with us. She is with us via audio because her video is not working on her end. But nevertheless, we're going to keep the show moving and keep it going forward. So first and foremost, if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask us via the Google Hangout. Or if you're on Twitter, please ask a question using the hashtag BabesInCharge. Now, without further ado, I want to dive right into it because I know your time is precious, and I want to make sure that we're able to answer any questions that you guys may have. So first and foremost, I would like to welcome Miss Linda. Linda, just tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us, how did you know that you were meant to become a speaker?
Well, first, allow me to thank you, Whitney, for having me on this evening. It is indeed a pleasure. And to all who have taken time out of their busy schedule this evening to attend. So thank you all. A little bit about myself. I worked in corporate America for 23 years, left corporate, decided to launch out and take that big dive into entrepreneurship. And the first thing that I did as an entrepreneur was immediately think, okay, I am going to host conferences. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to have conferences across the country. So I sat down and decided where would I like to start the conferences. And I decided on 2 cities in the South. And I began to do the Journey to Wholeness Women conferences. And from there, I saw the impact that speaking has to the right audiences. And I enjoyed it. Speaking is something I have done, Whitney, ever since I was a girl. I began hosting my own little events, speaking when I was 9 years old. So this is something that just comes naturally to me. Whitney?
Yes, that is amazing. Now tell us, I know you have a story, and I know you tell the story all the time about when you were a speaker as a young girl and how you would have all the kids in the neighborhood come and listen to you speak. I think it's hilarious to become a speaker.
It's true. When I was a girl around age 9, first of all, let me just say, I was a chatty Cathy. I was always talking when I was a child, to the point where sometimes family members would pay me to be quiet so I wouldn't talk. But I believe in the quote that Maya Angelou stated decades ago: what you learn, teach; what you get, give. And every time I would learn something, I guess what I thought was very important, I would go gather all the kids in our neighborhood and bring them to my home and have them to sit on our front lawn. And I would stand on the top doorstep so they could see me because I was tiny. And I would speak to them. And I would have a chalkboard that was on legs with my ruler. And I think it's something that I was born to do. You know how you get that feeling, this is what I was made to do or created for? That's how I felt about speaking. It's part of my DNA. That's what I should say. But I love doing it. So I learned marketing and speaking early on in life.
No, I just think it's funny. I just think that's always the cutest story to share. Now, Linda, I know that you have been a part of several different speaking associations. I'm kind of going out of order of the questions a little bit. Now, I know you've been a part of the Public Speakers Association, and I know you've been connected to several bureaus. Can you talk to me just a little bit about the differences between the two and some of the advantages of joining some of these organizations?
Sure. When you think of speaking bureaus, the purpose of a speaking bureau is, if you are accepted, number one, as part of their bureau as a speaker, they will look for opportunities for you to speak. And what they will do, they do not charge a fee, most of them, for you to become a part of the bureau. But when they when they have the opportunity to find a speaking engagement for you, they will take roughly about 25% of that speaking fee. That's how they make their money, and they also help bring more exposure to you and credibility as well. Now, you mentioned about the Public Speakers Association. That is a platform for speakers, those who want to do keynote, those who want to be a public speaker. A public speaker are those who conduct workshops and seminars. And part of the membership is learning different techniques, learning more marketing skills to get you out there in a bigger way. Of course, with the Public Speakers Association, there is a fee that you pay to become a member of the association, and they also share speaking opportunities where you receive the opportunities and you have to go out on your own and submit your information to the event planner or the meeting planner for that particular speaking opportunity. So does that help distinguish the two?
Absolutely. I think it does. I mean, because I think a lot of people use them interchangeably, but just kind of based on some of our prior conversations, I know that there are some differences. So thank you for pointing out some of those key differences. Now, I have a question. This actually derived from the Barter Babes community. This was from Lee, and she wanted to ask, just in terms of the women who shy away from speaking opportunities. So I know you've probably heard many women say like, oh, I want to speak, but I don't think people want to hear my message, or I'm afraid to get on stage. So can you give us any sort of strategies for women who desire to get on stage? How can they break that fear and eventually learn how to get in front of an audience to share their message?
Well, I think to begin with, it starts with your mindset. If you fear being a speaker, is going to impact how effective you are as a speaker. So the first thing I would say is start with the mindset, understanding that you're worth it and that your message is very powerful and it can transform lives. That's where I would start. Number two, who is the right audience for you? Because with speaking, you're sharing information that is educating your audience on solving a problem. You're not just speaking to anyone, anytime, on any subject matter. You want to position yourself to become known as an expert on a specific topic so that people know how to refer you and more opportunities will come your way. When you are launching a speaking career, you don't want to be known as a jack of all trades, because then people see you as a generalist, more like a commodity. You want to position yourself as an authority and you own that topic. I'll use myself as an example. I know with all my heart and soul that your personal brand can determine your success. You yourself own your worth. That's how I build myself up when it's time for me to speak. We all have fear that will never go away as a speaker. Even well-renowned speakers, they have fear, but before they take that stage, they overcome the fear. So learning how to put some practices in place for you before you take the stage will help you to overcome your fear. But let me back up for a moment. The most important elements of a speaking career is know who your audience is, know your target market. You want to be able to speak specifically at engagements where your target audience is going to be in attendance. And again, have that one topic that you become known for, because you can take that one topic and leverage it for different audiences. Say, for instance, you are an expert on relationships, okay? You can speak to an audience about relationship with money. You can speak to an audience about relationship with your significant other. You can speak to college and universities about the relationship you will need going forward to grab that career or that job that you desire to have. So that you see how I utilize that one topic on relationships, but for different audiences. Whitney?
Oh no, I said no. I was over here saying I was over here to myself. No, that totally makes sense. And I think a lot of times people, when they start to speak, I think sometimes people are anxious for the opportunity because people give them an opportunity to speak. Sometimes we speak about things that are not necessarily in our wheelhouse, or things that are not necessarily something that we are an expert in. So can you just kind of talk a little bit about that? You know, how do you decline speaking opportunities, especially those that may not necessarily fit your level of expertise?
Well, first of all, you should not speak if it is not your level of expertise, because people will not respect you, nor will they refer you, nor will they attend another event where you are speaking. When you are a speaker, you're speaking based on it could be your life experiences. It could be what you have learned from your education. It could be what you have learned from reading books, and you're giving your point of view of that. But I would never, ever suggest that anyone speak on a topic that they are not an expert.
Excellent. Yeah, because I know it happens. You know, sometimes you get those requests of, do you speak about this, or can you talk about that? And I know sometimes if you're eager to put yourself out there, it's easy to say yes and say, oh, shoot, you know, I don't really know too much about this subject. And I think eventually it definitely can show in the audience if you actually know what you're talking about or not.
It does.
So I just wanted to kind of bring that up, because I know for a lot of people starting out, that can sometimes be a problem.
Absolutely. But even when you're starting out, I want you to always see yourselves as an expert in the topic that you are addressing, because you are. It doesn't matter if you're starting, this is your very first speaking engagement, or it could be number 25 or number 50. You're still the expert.
And yes, and I think that's something that people have to remember. Now, speaking of experts, I know that, you know, we often talk about speaking. You know, speaking is such a broad thing. Now, there are different types of speakers, to my understanding. So in your opinion, how do you choose which one is best for you to boost your personal brand? So just kind of walk us through the different types and kind of the pros and cons of each one.
Okay. Well, there are keynote speakers. And now the keynote speakers are the ones where corporations will bring you in and they will pay you a speaking fee for your time addressing it could be their employees, okay? Then there are public speakers. Public speakers are those who conduct workshops and seminars, retreats, mastermind groups. The list goes on and on when it comes to public speaking. Now, the difference with public speaking versus keynote, a lot of times with the public speakers, they may not get a speaking fee up front. With public speakers, you're looking at the ticket price to attend your workshop or your seminar, and also your back of the room sales. Say you may have a book or a home study course, or you have a program that you want to offer and sell at the back of the room following your event. Now, there are also speakers for associations and organizations. When I speak of associations like the YWCA or some of the the larger women organizations like the National Women's Association, there are opportunities for those as well. And also for universities and colleges, that's a huge niche for speaking opportunities. And sometimes a lot of people forget about those. And there are fees associated sometimes with the colleges and universities, and especially if you have a book. Depending upon the school, they will purchase your book. And that's how you also make money from the colleges and universities. And then there are the nonprofits. Now, when you are speaking for nonprofits, of course, their fees that they pay, their speaking fees, are, of course, much less than the fees that you would receive from a corporation or a company. So, does that help?
Yes, I definitely think that does help. So you talk about being a public speaker. So I know a lot of times, and I know this is kind of something that's very popular right now as well. You know, there are people who are hosting a plethora of events, right? So what advice do you have to give for someone who wants to host their own event, speak at the event, and ultimately butts in the seat?
Okay. The best way to get butts in the seats, of course, that's something that terrifies a lot of people when they want to host their own events, how I'm going to get people to show up. I would always suggest joint venture partnerships that can help get butts in the seats. Affiliates is really big because they're making money from the number of ticket sales that they are able to make to get butts in the seats for you. You can't get away from making phone calls. I'm sorry, I know you don't want to hear it, but there are times when you have to get on the phone and call people and let them hear the urgency why they need to be at your event. Of course, press releases. You definitely, if you're hosting an event and it's something that is going to impact the community, you definitely want to do a press release and get it out there to all the media outlets as much as possible. Then there's also doing free teleconference calls, free webinars. That helps to build the momentum for your event. And you still have the connections with different organizations and associations where you can partner with them. And let me just say this as well. This is one way, and a lot of times people do not consider this, but if you can connect your event with a cause, that's huge. For instance, I did a workshop years ago, and I donated a percentage of the proceeds to Mary Jenkins. She has an organization for cancer. I can't remember the name of it right now, but breast cancer is something very dear to me because of my mother and my sisters. So if you can show the community how your event is going to be a blessing to the community, people will support it. And also, when you're getting butts in the seats, sometimes some names, some recognizable names, if you're sharing the stage with others, can help you to get butts in the seats. You want someone who has a large following to be on that stage with you or to honor that person at your event. So there are a number of ways you can get people to fill those seats for you.
And I think that's so interesting. One of the things that I admire about you, Linda, is that for you, I know that you're pretty much like a referral-based person. You do a lot of referral-based marketing. You know, I know you do social media to the minimal, and you talk a lot about relationships. So how important are relationships to building your speaking career?
Relationships is huge because as someone get to know you personally, they know how to refer you. And if they're well connected, they will go out there and help you for your event. And a perfect example is I did an event in Savannah, Georgia, and I was lucky enough to build a relationship with a lady there because of the mayor. And because of that relationship, we were able to get the Savannah Civic Center as the venue to host our event. They gave us the entire building. It has 3 floors. And that was because of the relationship that I had built with Carolyn. So relationship is everything. And not only for speaking, but for if you are seeking to advance in your career, you need relationships to help you there. If you are in business for yourself, you definitely want to build strong relationships. So it's key to build those good relationships.
Excellent, excellent. Now, earlier you mentioned something about a joint venture partnership. Now, I know that was something I had heard about prior to meeting you, but as I met you and we started to talk, you really broke that down for me. Now, can you do the same thing for those who may not necessarily be familiar with what a joint venture partnership looks like?
Okay. A joint venture partnership is when you connect and resonate with someone else who complement the service that you are providing. Now, you do not want to get a joint venture partner who is doing exactly what you're doing. A perfect example is Katie Browder Person of Catbro. Katie is a social media expert. So I had received a contract for a funeral home. And what they wanted us to do was to promote an upcoming event that they were doing, and to help them to host it. I knew Katie could handle and manage the social media. I could do the marketing. So Katie and we formed a joint venture partnership. She managed the social media. I obtained from Katie what was her fee for the service that she provided. Now, my client only submitted his payment to my business, to Pringle Business Consulting. Pringle Business Consulting paid Katie Catbro for the services that they render. And all communications between my client and myself was handled through me because I was the one who obtained the contract. Now, if it had been Katie and it was her client, I would have worked through Katie. Her client would not have heard from me unless Katie had requested it. And it's very important to have a very good understanding about the joint venture partnership. And it should be in writing so that everyone is crystal clear about what it is that each party is going to be responsible for and how each party is going to be compensated.
That's good. So hope everyone take note of that. So the key thing about the joint venture partnership that I took away from you is that make sure that you work with someone who complements your service and someone who doesn't necessarily compete with exactly the same thing that you do.
Absolutely. And again, make sure you have everything in writing, and that non-compete, non-disclosure needs to be stated as well.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So you talked before about a speaker business model. Now, prior, I had never heard about the speaker business model. I realized that there were people who were paid to speak professionally, but I didn't know that there was a whole formula. So kind of walk us through that formula. What is the speaker business model?
Well, the speaker's business model is where, and now we're addressing keynote, okay? This is an example. If you are a keynote speaker and a corporation brings you in to address their employees, and you do that, and you do it well, then they will bring you back. For instance, if you are a leadership, you speak on leadership, and you go in and you wow them during your presentation. And they may come back to you and say, we would love for you to come in and train our sales team on the leadership information. And you could it could be a 3-month or 6-month project with them, training various departments of that company. Then from training, you can also, within that company, consult. And the consulting, it could be, and that's even more, because now with the consulting, you could be in there for 12 to 18 months working for that company, providing services for that company and getting paid. So you see, you speak, you can go back and train, and then you can also consult. And you have to keep that in mind. I think that's where women may fall short, because that's why men are doing very well in speaking. And speaking of men doing well, I think I had shared with you, Whitney, that there are 50 multimillionaires in speaking. That's what they do. Nothing but do speaking. And they use that speaking model that I just mentioned. They're keynote speakers, and they do training, and they do consulting. And out of those 50, only 2 are women. And it's time for, and it's time, I personally feel it's time to change that paradigm. More women, because women are the ones who have been, I believe, created, designed to develop and nurture. And that's what speaking does. Speaking is helping to develop you, to nurture you, and help you to get to the next level, providing you with relevant information that is going to make a difference right now based on whatever it is that you're teaching and educating on. Whitney?
Oh, can you hear?
No, you're not well. I can't hear you.
You better now?
It's better now, yes.
Hear me?
The word. Oh, you are breaking up. I'm so sorry. Are you hearing me okay, Whitney? Hello? Hello? Whitney? Hello? I can't hear you. No, I'm not hearing you at all from my mic. Can you hear me? And, okay. Okay.
Linda?
I can hear you.
Perfect. Okay.
Yes.
That was something on my end. I apologize, everyone. For some reason, I lost connection. But you all are able to see me now, correct?
I can't see you, but I can hear you fine.
Okay, perfect. Okay, I'm sorry. Now, as you were saying, no, I was saying, so the speaking model consists of essentially becoming a keynote, coming in to train, and then eventually start to consult, correct?
Absolutely. That is how you hear people making high six figures from speaking opportunities. That's how they're doing it.
So the goal should be so essentially the keynote is almost like the gateway into the other opportunities.
Absolutely. And let me say this, everyone may not care to be a keynote speaker. They may simply want to be a public speaker and do their own workshops and seminars, or to do workshops and seminars for others. It's up to the individual. Both the keynote, public speaking can become very lucrative.
Wow.
If it's done properly, yes.
Okay.
And it does take work. I want everyone to understand you need a strategic plan of action to execute your speaking business.
Wow. And so that's good to know too, because I think sometimes people go into speaking and they don't realize all the other, essentially kind of the add-on services that they could be offering as they are speaking.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. One add-on is, you and I had this conversation, Whitney, is when you see other people speaking on someone else's stage. Remember the conversation we had about that?
Mm-hmm.
Where people pay to be on that stage. If they aren't paying, they on the stage, they are getting a percentage of the back of the room sales from those individuals. So that's another way to generate revenue. When you're hosting your own events and people want to come and speak, and again, it's complementing the event. If my event is on speaking and branding, well, I'm definitely going to have someone there on marketing, someone on social media, could have someone from PR. And those individuals who would like to speak from the stage, they would pay a fee in order to speak. And a lot of people don't even realize that.
And I realize that too, because, essentially, I mean, from what I've seen, a lot of people, when they bring in people to speak, they ask them to come in and be guests. So how do you know when to charge people to come to speak? Like, should there be a certain amount of attendees that they can leverage? Like, how can you determine when to actually do that?
First of all, as I stated before, you need a plan. And anytime you're hosting an event, you need to plan your event out. And I mean, plan it out. Every minute detail of that event. You need to know if the venue has a cost to it. You need to know what that cost is for the venue. Your marketing materials, you need to know what that cost is. If you are needing an AV person to come in, you need to know what that cost is. You're serving meals. You need to know what that cost is. You need every cost associated with your event before you can determine how many people you need and how much money you need to generate. That's going to help you with your ticket sales to determine how much to charge. And that's how people go in the hole when they host events. They haven't taken the time to identify every item, every price point that is associated with the event. And you need that. And then you also incorporate, once you have all your expenses, then you incorporate how much do you want to make from the event yourself. So you plug that in. Make sense?
Wow.
Make sense?
No. Yep, that definitely makes sense. I think that's a little detail people forget. I think sometimes we just get excited about the glitz and the glamour of hosting an event, but we forget about the little details. Now, The next few questions are kind of geared towards finding your message and understanding your audience. So, you know, again, as I spoke before, sometimes when people speak, they kind of just go out and they try to talk about anything in the beginning. So how do you narrow down that unique message? So kind of walk us through the ways that we can craft a message.
Well, first of all, you need to know exactly what the topic is. What is the problem that you're going to be solving for your audience? That's how you begin to craft your message. Your expertise, the problem that you're solving for a specific audience. And again, you need to narrow it to your audience, not just to be on the stage at an event. It doesn't have your target market in the seats, and you're speaking on a topic that you are not an expert on. What good is that event going to do for you? It's not going to elevate your brand. You're not going to be able to sell in the back of the room. So what would be the primary purpose of you attending that event and speaking? So it's very, very important to understand exactly what is the one topic, as I mentioned earlier, that you are going to, it will become your signature message that you are sharing with others to make a difference in their lives. And today, what they're looking for from speakers is transformation. How can you transform lives when you're speaking? What is it that you can offer that will make a difference that someone can immediately implement after they leave the event? Those are some of the things that you must take into consideration before you can begin to craft your message.
Excellent. So once you have that message, how do you go out to find the right audience? I think that's kind of the most important thing too, because you can have the most, you know, dynamic, the most perfect, the most compelling message in the world, but if it's not in front of the right audience, it doesn't mean anything. So what strategies do you have to help people actually figure out who their audience is and where they can actually go to speak to them?
Well, first of all, you need to know, who do you want to serve? That's the first question. If you are a speaker, excuse me, if you are a speaker, you have a desire to serve a specific group of people. For me, I love serving women, especially women in business. So it's very easy for me to say, okay, I want to speak to women who are entrepreneurs, or women who are small business owners, women who are service-based professionals. And what I do is, okay, I look at the entrepreneurs. Where do they go? Where do the entrepreneurs go? And I do my research. I do my research on the internet, or I just simply ask them, where do they go? That helps me to identify where there could be some great speaking opportunities for me. If it's service-based professionals, say it is CPAs, I need to find out exactly where do all the CPAs congregate. Is there a group meeting or an annual event where they all come together? The same for lawyers, the same for journalists. When you know who it is that you're serving, then it's very easy for you to do the research and identify where they congregate, because that's where you want to be. You want to be where they are.
And that totally makes sense. I mean, I think that almost just kind of goes back to just some of the basic principles of marketing, making sure that you're putting yourself in front of the right audience, you know, just in general when you're creating a brand message. So
absolutely,
essentially the same thing. Now, for you, so you know, you spoke earlier about potentially speaking for nonprofits, and sometimes nonprofits don't necessarily have the money to pay speakers. Things that speakers can leverage for negotiation. In other words, do you see any opportunities to barter?
When you say barter, when it comes to speaking, I would say if you, when it comes to bartering for speaking opportunities, that isn't something that, for me personally, that I would recommend bartering for speaking opportunities. And the reason why I say that is because with most speaking engagements, if they aren't going to pay you an honorarium or a speaker's fee, it is common courtesy that you are allowed to sell your books, your programs, and services at the event. So that's why I said, when it comes to bartering, that one is iffy for me.
So I'll give you an example. So I had a girlfriend in Dallas who was invited to speak for a nonprofit that catered to young professionals. So she does a lot of work with the young professionals. So they couldn't afford to pay her, but in exchange for speaking, they offered to give her their email list of all the attendees so she could reach out to them, just to kind of to solicit her services at the end. And I believe at the end of the event, she was also able to sell in the back of the room, actually sell her book. So that's kind of what I mean by some of those opportunities. Like, are there any other like unique ways where you can still kind of reach a client or a potential customer?
But in most cases, when you go and speak at events, they do provide you with the email list and being able to sell in the back of the room. I wouldn't call that bartering. I would say it's part of the negotiating, not bartering. You're negotiating what it is that you can receive from speaking and providing your topic to make a difference for their event. So that's part of negotiating.
Okay, so that's something that you set in, just kind of, walking into the actual engagement,
Absolutely.
and speak, if you can't compensate, these are the things that, should make up.
Absolutely.
Okay. Makes sense.
Negotiating, not bartering.
Okay. Got you.
Okay.
Now, what are some of the must-have marketing materials? So what are things that speakers should have coming out of the gate?
Coming out of the gate, I would say you definitely need a video. That's coming out the gate, because a video and a speaker sheet, those are the two most important pieces that they're going to ask for. A meeting planner is going to want to know, what is it that your talk is about? What are the titles of your talk? They will tell you how long they want you to speak. And the big one is this: have you spoken in front of a live audience, and do you have a video so that we can see the type of speaker that you are, how you present? Those are the two most important pieces. I have not known anyone who have not requested those two pieces of marketing materials. Those are the first.
It's interesting that you said that I'm speaking in front of a live audience, with an emphasis on the word live. Now, I know, in this day and age of social media and having, capabilities to do live broadcasts, as kind of like what we're doing right now. What about those? So, let's say you're coming across someone who's kind of building their speaking portfolio, speaking online, and they're kind of ready to take on those physical live in-person audiences. Do you think that even clips from online would suffice, even though you can't really see the audience reaction? Maybe they can measure the engagement. Like, do you think that would suffice, or would you still encourage people to actually try to get in front of people live, even if they do have multiple videos of them doing things online?
They want to see you live. I know that for a fact, because of the speaking bureaus that I'm connected with. They want to see you in front of a live audience. Yes.
Okay, that's good. No, because I know that there are people who, they host online events, they do things online pretty frequently, but they don't necessarily. I was curious because I know that might be a question that someone may have.
Yes, definitely and if you have not performed before a live audience, this is what I would suggest. And some people do this all the time. They host their own event, and they bring in a ton of people to sit there, and they do their presentation. I'm serious, to create their video.
That in-person feel.
Absolutely.
Okay. That is a good note for someone who may who may necessarily need that. So, Ms. Linda, I have two questions for you right before. And again, if there's anyone who's watching, I know we have several people who are watching right now. If you guys have any questions, please be sure to mention Babes in Charge on Twitter or use the comment section here in the Google Hangout. But the next question that I have for you, Ms. Linda, is what is the one thing you know about the speaking business now that you wish that you knew early on?
Oh my God, the money. That's an easy one. That's an easy one. I knew how to craft my message, and I knew how I could market myself, but I never knew about the amount of money that could be generated from speaking. Seriously, that is the one thing. Yes. Because with speaking, you really, and you've heard me say this, Whitney, if you need a fast path to cash, speaking is it.
Wow. And personally, how would you say that speaking has helped boost your personal brand and business over the years? Like, I mean, I guess what if you could narrow it down to the biggest accomplishment that you've gotten from speaking, just in terms of your brand and business, what would that be?
I think for me, the proudest moment of my speaking opportunity was when I was the keynote speaker for the Martin Luther King breakfast for the city of Savannah. And it's amazing how you are treated as a keynote speaker. You are chauffeured around in a chauffeur-driven limousine. Every item is taken care of financially, from the airfare, the hotel, the meals, your speaking fee, and how you're treated. You're treated like royalty. You truly are. And that's why they say speaking can change your life. It really can.
Wow. That is amazing. and that's something that I think most people are eventually aspiring to. Now, two more questions actually. So is there any other piece of advice that we did not cover tonight that you would like to share with everyone?
I think the one thing that I would like to share with our listeners, Whitney, there is a message inside of each of you, and I know this, we all have it. It's a disservice for you not to share your message with the right audiences, because you can transform lives. And I think for some who are on this call tonight, this is your time. This is your time, especially in the time that we're living in, to speak, transform lives, and elevate your own brand, because that's exactly what it will do for you. Speaking, it offers you the opportunity to charge premium fees for your services, whatever your services may be. So that is the one nugget that I would like to leave with everyone tonight. This is your time. This is truly the time for women. And after you've heard what I said a moment ago about 50 multimillionaires who does nothing but speak, and they know this, they use the speaking business model, and only 2 of them are women, don't you think it's time to change that paradigm and more women become a part of that? It's your time. That's what I have to leave them with, Whitney.
Excellent. Well, I definitely think it is time. And finally, how can people learn more about you, Ms. Linda, and your business? And is there anything coming up that you think that people should be aware of?
Sure. Well, to learn more about myself, you can visit my website, Pringle, Pringle, biz, biz, consulting.com. And that site is being redesigned, but it is currently available. And as far as what's coming up, well, you and we are launching Speak Her, the Speak Her Masterclass, which I am extremely excited about. I've had numerous women to reach out to me and ask if I would help them to get opportunities to speak. But just to get opportunities is not enough. I want women to understand the speaking business and what it takes to be a successful speaker and to generate money from speaking, because you really can utilize speaking and make high 5 or 6 figures just from speaking alone. So the Speak Her training will begin October 21st, and it is a 6-month program. So you're going to share information about it, Whitney, or do you want me to do it? Whitney, are you there? Whitney?
I'm here. Sorry.
Okay.
I was trying to pull up. So, no, that was my mistake. I was trying to pull up the website so people can see where to actually go. I'm going to try to pull it up once more. If you can actually explain, because I want to be able to show people where they can go.
Certainly. Well, first of all, let me give them the website for Speak Her Training. It is speakhertraining.com. And there is the information that of the services that you will receive for the 6 months. And the first module, I'll just go ahead and share, and I hope everyone can hear me. The very first module is Bankable Speaking Brand, where we will work with you on your mindset, your personal brand, how to make sure you are relatable, relevant, and unique, even your personal image and confidence boosters. That's all in the first module. The second is the power of speaking, helping you to discover your speaking markets. Are you a keynote speaker? Are you a public speaker? Identify event types for your talk and discover the speaking topics that you will deliver. Module 3 is the business of speaking. Discover the speaking business model. Who is your target audience? What is your solution? Identify ways your audience can execute your solution immediately. What about storytelling? Creating your tantalizing title for your talk, crafting your signature talk, leveraging one talk for various audiences. Then there is monetize your talk. What is your offer? What are the products and services that you will provide for your offer? Your training, your coaching, your consulting, your home study course could be a book, an ebook. Ticket sales. How do you determine what that ticket sale should be? How pay to speak is very popular. Even pay to give away is very popular. What about sponsorships? How do you go about getting sponsors? Your book. If you have a book in mind that you want to create, we are bringing someone in to help you with that. Then we're going to show you exactly what your back of the room sales should consist of and pricing structure. Then there's the magnetic marketing, real-time social media, why it's important, setting up social media, engaging an audience online, engaging your audience offline, how to get butts in the seats, helping you to understand fully about JVs, joint venture partners, and affiliates, how to utilize Facebook ads, how to create your own press release, videos, Facebook Live, YouTube, phone calls. We're going to go over all of this to help you to understand how to get those butts in the seats. Again, negotiating skills, and learn how to pitch. And then in module 6, which will be that 6-month, is lights, camera, action. What do you use props? When do you need to use a PowerPoint presentation? How to create your own live event. Your branding elements for meeting planners. What you need on the stage. What you need after you speak. How do you command the room and own that stage? You will present before a live audience, and we are going to record it for you so that you will have your demo that you can present to meeting planners as well as to bureaus when they ask for it. And we will get you ready for the media, because as a speaker, you never know when that great opportunity where you will be interviewed by the media. We want you ready for that. And here are some of the bonuses. Public speaking opportunities. Those who participate in this program will receive a slew of public speaking opportunities from me. We will provide you with a template for your speaker media kit. Also your press release template. You will have a lifetime membership to the private Facebook group as well as the recorded sessions. Every session will be recorded and you will have each training forever. Also, you will receive information about speaking bureaus, who to connect with, and there will be a panel of experts. When you finish your speech, you will do a rehearsal and we will have guest experts there who can critique you and help you to perfect your speech. Now, as I stated, this is a 6-month program. We meet twice per month on every other Saturday, and the meeting time will be from 10 a.m. until 12:30. Training is from 10 a.m. until noon, and we're leaving a half hour for Q&A. So any questions that you may have, we can address them right there. We are meeting at the Ohio Media School over on East Main Street. And as I stated, the first session begins October 21st. And this is at, I think, one of the best rates that is out there. If you're interested, anyone who is on the call, we're going to offer some bonuses to you if you're interested in joining. The 6-month program is $19.97, and that is payment in full. But we do have a 3-pay and a 4-payment options available as well. So if anyone is interested, please let us know. And if you respond within 24 hours, what we are offering is the brand new program in addition, where you will meet with me one-on-one for 6 weeks and go through the brand new program at no additional cost. But we must hear from you within 24 hours regarding that the brand new program, because that is something that is only extended to those of you who is in attendance tonight. Any questions?
Wow, that's fantastic. I'm checking to see if there are any questions. Someone did have a question from out of town. This is actually someone coming in on the Facebook page, and they were wondering, is there a virtual option? Not in Columbus, Ohio.
Yes, there is, because what we can do, we can definitely have them to either, we can do it through Zoom or Skype. So yes, the online opportunities does exist.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I think, thank you so much, Linda, for going through everything. And I just want to say this, everyone, for everyone who's listening, Linda, I mean, I think she kind of sold herself short tonight. She is really like the queen of speaking. Like, I literally, when I first met this woman, like, I was enamored. And I'm not usually enamored by people who just speak. But when I heard her, it's like, oh my gosh, like I could listen to this woman talk all day, every day. But the best part about it is, I mean, she's very talented and she knows exactly what it is that she does. She does branding well. And that is one thing that I think that we definitely will emphasize throughout this program is branding. Linda and I complement each other in terms of our skill set and experience. She's an experienced speaker. She's been on Toastmasters. She is a director of the Public Speakers Association. I've been doing social media for more than 5 years. I'm actually an instructor at the Ohio Media School. And I've been working with women and business owners to help them cultivate small brands. So for those of you who don't know, I do a lot of graphic design and I do a lot of real-time social media. And I think that's one of the things that people are lacking when they're speaking. You ever see someone go to a speaking engagement and they don't bring anybody with them? So that's a lost opportunity to take pictures, to capture video. And those are things that I want to be able to show you guys. So that way, not only are you a great speaker, Linda will definitely cover that part, but I also want to make sure that you're branded for success. And that is making sure that you're able to get in front of the room and also make sure that you can sell in back of the room. So again, I think this is a great opportunity. If you have never spoken before, you have a desire to speak, or if you are a speaker and you want to learn how to take it to the next level, definitely join this program. Have a lot of great treats in terms of bonuses. We have a lawyer to come in and teach you negotiation. We also have someone to come in and teach you about sponsorship and writing a book as well. So this is definitely a treat, something that you don't want to miss. If you have any questions, feel free to email Linda or myself. And you can email me at whitney@thebarterbabes.co. Email Linda at lindapringleevans.com. So if you guys have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. And you can also visit the website at www.speakhertraining.com. Linda, thank you again for coming in and sharing these nuggets. Fantastic on just kind of, giving everyone life and letting us know exactly how we can become better speakers. Again, I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. And thank you, Whitney. I truly appreciate you. And all of you who took the time to join us this evening.
Thank you all for registering. Sometime this week, you will be receiving a freebie via email just to kind of reiterate some of the things that we talked about tonight and also kind of give you some tips on some of the next steps that you can take to become a dynamic speaker. So once again, thank you for joining Babes in Charge. Definitely enjoyed all of you. Please make sure that you reach out and definitely look out for the next interview next month. Again, this is a monthly series where we bring in women who can help you take charge of your business via their expertise. So again, thank you and have a wonderful night, everyone.